Antoine Semenyo is the most wanted player in the Premier League right now, and with a 65 million release clause in January, teams will be ready to go to get him in as he is in red hot form and has been for over 18 months. Now, Liverpool will be the favourites for the player, and with recent reports, it looks like they will go for him. So in this video, we're going to look exactly why Liverpool need him and want him in their team, and how he can help them claw back this Premier League title race quicker than you think. So let's get into it. Now, obviously, we all know Antoine Semenyo as a player. He has scored and assisted a huge amount of goals this season. Last year, he was one of Bournemouth's best players, and everyone knows his quality from just looking at them raw stats. However, when you delve deep into some of the goals he has scored this season, you start to see a bigger picture. He's a player that can pick the ball up in these wide positions, and you look at his touch map, they are quite high there, and he will come inside and work with the players around him to get shots away. Now, he is a player that shoots probably a little bit too much than you would like, but he can shoot on both feet, and as one of the most variant players in shooting in the league from both of his feet, left and right, he is able to get power from the position anywhere, which makes him seem to perform over XG, which makes him ultimately a very good finisher, as he has performed over XG for 3 years in a row. Now, first of all, I want to look into this situation because I think this is going to be the best way he is used for Liverpool. Now, what we have seen quite a lot this season, that when teams go long against Liverpool, they are able to get second balls easier, and they are able to kind of flood the box in these positions. And there's actually a few times this season Liverpool have been put under real pressure and not really dealt with it, considering the amount of players they have back, which you would expect better from. Now, another thing about this though is how Liverpool attack and get away pressure. We know Salah is going to stay on an island very far away, because every time you get the ball in these positions, you can kick the ball long to him and then you can send him through, and we know Salah undeniably is one of the best players in the world in this position. Now, something Liverpool have been doing recently, and we saw it quite a lot in the City game, which obviously is a little different. City are a much tougher opponent than some teams are going to play, but Salah was coming deeper and he wasn't really tackling, but he was kind of having to play more deeper to work with it, and when the ball came out, they would put a ball into him and he would have to carry this ball from quite a lot of deeper area to get away. Now, if you bring Semenyo in, I think this is one of the best situations for him. Not only can Semenyo play on both wings, and we will talk about it, but Salah obviously is going to AFCON, so you would expect Semenyo's coming in to kind of replace him for the start, as Ghana didn't qualify, and Semenyo is a guy that ultimately a lot of the chances you will see him create or be a part of is when he picks the ball up in this box and carries the ball to a further extent. His power running, his dribbling in these deeper areas is one of the best in the league, and for a team that is sometimes up against pressure, it is a really good player to keep making that happen and get you into them areas, which I think can be key. Now, it's not just about that, it's also the fact that when Liverpool want to kind of sustain possession, and I actually think this is something that Semenyo would work well with Salah, for instance, is that Semenyo will work really hard. If you have Semenyo kind of these deeper role, I'd say off the ball, especially in these sort of situations where he's playing on the left wing, he will work hard. You've seen how aggressive he can be at pushing the defences back and kind of working with the ball. As a good nifty player that can do these little touch-offs as well, he's one of your perfect players you're going to get on a counter-attacking approach that not only is smart off the ball, but is very aggressive and can win the ball back and run up the pitch. And it kind of gives me a very much like Klopp Liverpool vibe, that I think Liverpool have missed a little bit out of possession. They have been poor under Slot, I think, generally, but I think this is one of the ways that they can get better, and I do think that Semenyo can really help them stretch the wide areas out. But obviously Semenyo is not being signed as a player that is just going to do all this defensive work. He wants that output that you can get as well. But I think in terms of the attacking formations and tactics that Liverpool use, he can really help because he is a bit of a wider player. Now, what I mean by this, he does play on this wide area quite a lot. You see him pick up big positions down this line over here where you don't really see other players really pick up, and he is a player that will really force the issue, and I think that's something Liverpool need. Now, the reason why I think Liverpool needs someone like this on the left especially, and maybe on the right, but I think Salah can broadly do what he wants a lot of the time, I think it's because these situations it helps the players around him. Now, we've seen Kev particularly not have a brilliant start at Bournemouth, and I think he hasn't really understood his role very well. I think with Semenyo, they have that connection there that could already be better, but I think if Woklz is going to play in the 10 or in another role in the team, even as a false 9, I guess you could say sometimes, he wants to be picking the ball up in these positions here, these sort of inside channel runs where he's going to be inside the block. Now, I think if any player in the world is going to pass that ball into him and work with him, is a wider player, and with Semenyo out in this wide position, he not only can put balls in where I think Woklz can do a really good work with, but then Woklz can kind of look for other players that make runs. Now, this does get difficult because does Woklz play an attacking midfield? He doesn't bring the off the ball work that Szoboszlai does, and then if he plays on the left, Semenyo's not going to play on the left, so are they going to work together? There is still some kind of fits that you're going to have to find out, but I still think that these two players would work better together than what Liverpool have right now. Now, I will say, to kind of end on the big point about Semenyo, I do think there is some weird fits around the squad, because like we said, Semenyo is a guy that likes picking the ball up in these wider positions out here and kind of coming inside, you know, carrying the ball quite far distances is something he's very capable of. But I think that a lot of his shots you will see are from this sort of range, just outside the box, maybe central areas as well, where he's not going to get as much for Liverpool. Now, the way that this can work, I think, with some of these players that we're looking at here is if Ekitike or Isak, of course, kind of move into this channel here, which we know they like to do, especially Ekitike is a guy that comes down to this side and loves playing the ball inside, which I think with Semenyo could work. And I also think on the right side, let's say if he does play instead of Salah, and we'll play Woklz just on the left for now, I think in terms of Bradley playing, or maybe even a Frimpong if he's fit, you know, you have that overlap there, and then you allow Semenyo to come inside, which I think can be quite good. However, he is someone that with his shooting, or even in this position, want to go across goal, or he'll want to get into more central areas so he can actually shoot like that across into the pitch. So it's something that you're going to have to work with, especially off these players around him. But I think Liverpool can give him enough shots, especially the fact he's so two-fitted. And this is the thing with Semenyo, it's not a cheap price. 65 mil, I think, is probably going price for them sort of wingers, especially with his current form. He has overperformed XG quite a lot, and I know some stats people will talk about how that's not consistent, but I think genuinely it is. He's a very good finisher, he scores some incredible goals, and has that sort of drive ability, physicality to go past teams. And also the biggest question is, yes, he will give Liverpool some different edge that they may need, but is he the biggest priority for them? They still have great attackers like Woklz, like Isak, that haven't really fit into the team. And although I think they will, and I think it takes time, and I think eventually they'll get good, you can't fit all these players into the team quite a lot. And Semenyo is going to want to start, as he is starting for Bournemouth, who are a very good side. So maybe trying to buy a defender or a fullback could be something you look at instead, or even a DM, where I think that makes sense. But it is a market opportunity if he is available. And in the summer, if he goes for even cheaper than 65 mil, then I expect a lot of teams to want him, i.e. Arsenal, I think will be up there. We know that Semenyo really likes Arsenal as a club, so it may be hard to convince him if that is the case. Now let me know what you think about this video in the comments. I will be doing videos on this channel yet again. We are back, and let me know what you want to see. See you guys in the next one.